Even though the East Coast leads the way when it comes to championships, 40 Eastern compared to 37 Western ones, in recent years, it's the West Coast that has been dominating the league, much thanks to the supremacy of the Golden State Warriors. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of competition in this conference. And this is our prediction of which team will make it out of the West in 2024. Hello and welcome back to NBA Swish. Today we'll be talking about which West Coast team will make it out of the West, clinch the Western Conference at the end of 82 games, and make it to the NBA Finals. And moreover, if not the Western Conference title, which teams will clinch playoff spots? Well, stick around to the end as we answer these questions and more, as we delve into the various intricacies surrounding the Western Conference. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before we get into it though, I would just like to say that these predictions are just a guess based on the current form of each team on the West Coast. The season is far from over and anything could happen. Maybe the best player of a certain team gets injured, and as a result, that respective team slumps for the rest of the season. In a conference where the gap between the 3rd and 9th seed might be razor thin, the first team to sustain a critical injury could find themselves slipping down the ranks. Basically, I just want you all to understand that such predictions are not an indicator of what will happen, rather they show what might happen. So don't stress if you don't see your team winning or even clinching a playoff spot in our predictions. Who knows? We could be wrong. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's get into our predictions. I'm going to start with the prominent teams one by one, and why I think they might or might not have a chance to clinch the Western Conference title later on. And don't think this is an easy job. The West Coast has an undeniable depth of talent this year. If I'm right, the landscape is loaded with 11 teams boasting playoff-worthy rosters. Now that is some crazy competition. No wonder it's making this season's battle for supremacy truly reminiscent of the Wild West. I know there's some favorites that many people think will win the conference in the end, but something tells me this season will be a surprise for a lot of people. So first of all, let's talk about the biggest favorite out of the Western Conference. And yes, you might have guessed it, we're talking about the Denver Nuggets, led by their dynamic duo of Nikola Jokić and Jamal Murray, who are just a part of an impressive team that also includes Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. I don't know if it's a question of whether or not the team is poised to secure a playoff spot, but it's a question of whether they'll win another championship or not. For starters, their consistency and experience give them an edge in the competitive Western Conference. Moreover, the dominance of Jokić and the way he's begun the season, topping MVP lists while he's at it. To be very honest, despite the Timberwolves topping the conference, that is, at the time of when this video is being produced, I think the Nuggets will probably win the league again. They have the squad, they have the star power and the experience to not only win the Western Conference, but even win the championship. Next up, we've got the Minnesota Timberwolves. And well, haven't they surprised everyone this year? Who knew they would be so amazing this year besides everyone in Minneapolis? The way Anthony Edwards has scored for him, the rebounding ability of Rudy Gobert, and the presence of the Big Cat, and the emergence of players like Naz Reid and Connolly have really upped the stakes for the team. And they finally look like a team that can compete for championships. But do I think they're there yet? No. The team still needs to get more experience when it comes to the big stage. You don't win there without the clutch ability. But can they clinch the conference? Well, as we've seen over the season, Chris Finch has done a superb job in both defense and offense for the team. They have improved a lot and could win the conference title if they maintain this form, but chances are they'll most likely get trumped by the Nuggets. Next up, we have the Suns. And this is a tricky one, because we all know how they've been struggling at the start of the season, and currently, at the time of this video, they stand at the 8th seed in the conference. But you've got to admit, they're probably the team with the most star talent on the roster. With the trio of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, the team's going to be a nightmare for defenses whoever they play. But I know what you all must be wondering, why are they struggling then? And, well, it all boils down to their team chemistry. When their 3-star players develop that perfect chemistry between them, you can bet the team will start winning again. And from that point forth, the season should be a piece of cake. Next up, we've got the Clippers, and this one is a bit of an unusual story. They started the season pretty poorly, and people were unsure if they would ever find their rhythm. But slowly, they have found it and have quickly become the dark horse of the Western Conference, and quickly rising through the ranks. In fact, they were down and out just over a month ago, and now they're one of the strongest favorites to clinch the conference title. And why wouldn't they? When you have the likes of Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook all on one team, you're bound to be one of the strongest teams out there. Initially, I guess they couldn't find their rhythm, but now since they developed that chemistry and how Westbrook has put aside his ego and settled into a super sub, you can bet they really want to win the conference. And that's not all, as given the star power they have, the team could even win a championship. Then we've got the Oklahoma City Thunder. They've been really inspirational this season, and it finally looks like the team is back to its best since the infamous Russell Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant days. And this is largely due to the brilliance of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is an offensive powerhouse for the team. That being said though, however, the team's dependence on him really is a cause for concern, since an injury could really disrupt this team's aspirations. The same could be said for the Dallas Mavericks. They've got a decent team, given the fact that they have two superstars in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. They could really compete for the Western Conference title, but Irving's been mostly injured this season, so the brunt of the scoring's been on Doncic once again. And while it's true that Luka has been amazing this season, the fact his team is so dependent on him for scoring again raises a similar issue to the one we have with the Thunder and SGA. I am absolutely sure both teams would collapse without them. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen, but let's see what the rest of the season has in store for them. Next up, we got the Lakers, and to be very honest, while they do have the history and the star power, they probably won't clinch a title. This is mostly due to their injury history and lack of young guns on the bench that can help them maintain form throughout the 82 games. But you can bet they will get a playoff berth. They're a risky but justifiable lock, given their resilience in previous deep playoff run. Another team that deserves a playoff lock is the Golden State Warriors. Yes, you heard that correctly. Even if they aren't on everyone's contender list, their talented team makes them a formidable force still. Sure, they are really struggling right now, but given their star power, their experience when it comes to winning, and the emergence of young talent, I am sure the team can turn the season around and come within touching distance of that conference title, but it might be too late for them to win it. Now let's delve into some teams that fall into that feels funny about locking category. The Memphis Grizzlies are the number one in this category. Despite losing a key player, they still command respect. The rest of the pack, including Portland, New Orleans, San Antonio, Utah, and the Rockets, are facing uphill battles to secure a playoff spot, let alone win any hardware. The 2024 NBA Western Conference promises an electrifying battle for the title, along with numerous playoff-worthy teams battling for supremacy. While the Denver Nuggets, Minnesota Timberwolves, and the LA Clippers emerge as potential contenders, the unpredictable nature of sports leaves the ultimate champion uncertain. Defending champions, the Nuggets, seek back-to-back titles, while the Timberwolves aim to continue their ascent, and the Los Angeles Clippers strive for a triumphant return. Injuries, breakthroughs, and strategic moves will shape the journey. As fans, let's relish the unpredictability, share our predictions, and savor every moment of this riveting battle. May the best team prevail, and may the 2024 season deliver basketball thrills and unforgettable moments. It's going to be a good year for basketball fans. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.